Thank you all for joining us today. This presentation is one of several that are being offered as part of Open Education Week this week. I would normally invite you to attend the other presentations this week, but I believe this is the last one for the week.
Yes.
However, you can see the recordings on the library's YouTube channel. This presentation is being recorded and will be posted on the ISU Library's YouTube channel for future viewing. Following the presentation, we will have a question and answer period where you can unmute yourself and ask a question, or if you'd like to post a question in the chat, I can read your questions during the quick Q&A period of your presentation. Our presenter can respond to those questions at that time. So let's go on and learn a little more about our speaker. Senior Lecturer Amy Jo Popa from, did I pronounce that correctly, Amy?
It's Popa.
Excuse me.
It's
Amy
okay.
Jo Popa from the Art Department received an OER grant and stipend from the Provost office to revise the OER resource and update the Introduction to Art 1100 courses for both the face-to-face and the online learners. It provides great, using an OER has been a tremendous benefit for our students in reducing the cost of course materials. It provides greater flexibility in designing the course and the opportunity to experiment with new teaching approaches. Remember, this change can create the opportunity to improve our students' experience and quality of their education. Join us to learn about her OER journey, with students providing equal access to the textbook and saving the students money. Popa enthusiastically recommends adopting an OER to her colleagues. So now I will turn it over to you, Amy.
Hey.
Welcome.
So this isn't my first round, and that's why I'm calling it Experience 2.0, because this is our second revision of the OER. We started in 2018 with this textbook, The Design, Context, and Meaning, and it came without any support materials. So that was our first journey in building all of the kind of class, from lectures to quizzes to support materials, hands-on activities. And after working with this for 6 years now, we find there's a few little faults or some things that we'd like to tweak or change. So having the OER really gives us this incredible opportunity to make these changes. So starting in fall of 2024, started this process. I realized it's more than I ever imagined, kind of rewriting the book as well as the class. So it's taken me just a tad bit longer than expected. But I think we're going to be very happy with the outcome in the end. Because usually adopting an OER is a win-win for the departments, but not only our students. I see that they win in many ways. Number one, the weight of the books, right? The carrying that and constantly trying to find the book, getting it there, maybe tearing it, losing pages. There's all kinds of things that can happen with those hands-on books. But if we go to the ebook, we find that it's always available. It's at their fingertips, right? They can use any kind of e-device, whether it's a Kindle, their laptop, their phone, right? So many of them have multiple ways of getting into Moodle or our learning platform and grabbing the material they need. So not only being at their fingertips, we find that when we use an OER, the cost reduction or no cost to the student is one of the biggest benefits. A 2016 survey, reasons why students didn't get the textbook was mainly the cost. 37.6% were not able to require or buy that book. And because of that, over 66% of them didn't do the required reading, their grades fail. It is like a domino effect when we can't afford a book. And thinking about being some of these, early college students coming into school fresh out of high school, right? Their parents may be working 2-3 jobs to send them to college. Tuition is enough that it keeps rising on them, but then we add this expense of books. Art books can be extremely expensive because of all the beautiful pictures. It costs a lot to create that. So here is another study, and this is very recent on an OER I found today about U of Mass. 93% of students who use OERs do well or better than those using traditional materials. The easy access, the content sharing, it's there, it's present with them, right? It levels that playing field, kind of like going to a parochial school or a school that has always uniforms, that leveled playing field. Well, just having a book in your hand can make a huge difference to a student. So one of the things I really like about the OERs and the student benefit, they can come up with ideas, they share information, maybe their favorite artist, a new work, or something that they've seen online, and we can incorporate that into our class. We can actually, even if we want to, add it to our lectures. We could someday slide it into the book if we go to another revision. So I find using the OER and having the students kind of giving them the autonomy, right, for their education when they become invested in it that way, I find they care so much more. They get more out of it. So I did a little bit of math here, right? Just in one fall section, we teach 7 different sections of the class, about 50 students per class, right? So that's 350 students. At $30 a book, which our book is right now, because it's an OER, that gives us $10,500 in savings. But if I was to choose another book, typically they're around $100 to $150. That would be over $35,000 a semester just in textbooks for one class, one general education class. Is it really worth it for those students and that amount of books that in a year or two are just going to be recycled one more time, repurposed again, and resold back to us? So this whole idea, right, from the instructor's point of view to the student's point of view and maybe to the university. Number one, I love this because it leaves room for change. We can rearrange the information, we can edit it, we can take things out that we don't feel is pertinent to our student body. We can add things that maybe where the book came from in Georgia, right? Some of these things don't matter to them, that matters to us. So I find this ability to edit our book to be one of the finest things that we can do to uplift in the value of our education here at ISU. Number 2, that flexibility in presentation. This is one of the pieces that a student brought to me, and it was just amazing, how involved some of these kids get just by turning them on to like a new movement we call performance art. It's been around since the 1960s, but it's one that's a little more present. And this piece, Can't Help Myself, it is a robot that actually turns people's emotions on. It becomes this empathetic kind of feeling for this robot who can't keep up with all its fluid leaking. So at some point, the fluid's going to win and the robot's going to lose. But we start getting these emotional connections as if it was a human, right? So art can really grab us and teach us and kind of embrace us with emotions, right? And that's what we want the students to do, is get involved And I feel with the OERs and having them being somewhat responsible, they're getting more and more involved each semester. So having the OER, right, we've supplemented with forums, variable topics, hands-on projects. And the forums we've been using, they've been some of my favorite parts of the class. Having 50 students in a classroom, it's so difficult to have a conversation or a real discussion. But with our forums, we get the discussion. So having these learning platforms and bringing these kind of ideas to the forefront, in the right bottom, or I mean the left bottom corner, here we have a lady in the red dress, is Marina Abramovic. She has been doing performance art since the 1960s. She has a video on there about some of her work, variable ones. This one is called The Artist is Present. She approaches the Museum of Modern Art in New York City and says, I want to sit. I want to be the art piece. So she sits in the museum every day for a month, for 8 hours, and people can come and sit with her, but no words are exchanged. It's all visual. And this becomes so powerful. Students are moved to tears as well. Tattoo forums, right? We find that the tattoo is no longer suffering from a lot of stigmatism that it typically did. It's becoming more mainstream, more popular. A lot of students have tattoos. They're willing to talk about them. They're willing to share, take a picture and share with their other student body, their peers, what is going on in their life and how they value that art. When it comes to our political art forums, well, we have a lot to choose from these days. And I just grabbed a cute little cartoon that got my attention recently. So, we can take these current topics and insert them into the class. So the class can also be a little bit historical, but also a reference. So another thing that is really cool with the OERs, once we have our general kind of materials set up with them, each professor, and we have 6 of us teaching this semester, so they can take that general format, but then they can tweak it and make it their own. One of my favorite artists is Andy Goldsworthy. He deals with a lot of as nature, as you can see, found objects within nature, and tends to draw your attention through like welding icicles together, the stones, the variable leaves, and like the leaves, these are all found naturally. He does no alteration to the materials, but what he can do with his hands. So an amazing artist, once again, and being able to open up these students' minds to variable different approaches to art, as well as hands-on projects in our classroom. This is something that the OER has really opened up here at ISU for us. So one thing though we've found in the past 6 years was this lack of connection to the crafts. ISU is one of maybe a handful of universities in our nation that still provides the craft classes. We have fiber arts, which is not only weaving, dyeing, paper making. Then we have ceramics. We have both hand building and wheel throwing. We have variable different kilns. So they have soda fired kilns, reduction kilns, electric plus gas. We have a beautiful jewelry metals department that has been kept alive by some amazing instructors. And the work that keeps coming out of our department is definitely showcase quality. We're starting a woodworking area so the students can be building their own frames. They can build supports or pedestals for their sculptures, and small sculpture is coming back as well. So this was lacking in our book. They gave us 1 or 2 paragraphs about crafts. And I'm like, this is not acceptable. because at ISU, this is what makes us shine. It's what makes us who we are and what our department is strong with. Now we're adding a digital degree. So not only are we growing as a department into the digital world, we're also preserving the historical kind of realm of the art world here. So as an instructor at ISU, I love OERs because I can align with the university culture, the demographics of our students and department. I can think about the culture, the audience, right? I am presenting to. There may be regional differences in the language that we are using in the books. We can tailor that to where we are at here in the Intermountain West. We can also bring in some of our branding too, to create this real feeling of connection and community to the course materials, the book, and the classroom. So one thing about OERs, and the best thing about them, they're always adaptable. And I think that's about my experience. This 2.0 is readapting, repurposing, reorganizing, putting a few things in there that we think are missing. And we're going to have a great Art 1100 OER book again. So thank you for the time and the opportunity once again to help our students at ISU.
Well, thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
It's fascinating.
Awesome.
Are there any questions? I see some questions. Let's see. Spencer, please.
Um, yeah, I was just wondering, Amy, if you can let us know, are you working on this individually or are you collaborating with other faculty in your department on the rewriting of this OER?
We've been working basically individually, but I've been working with Lori Ostel at ITRC. She helped me with the first whole rewrite of all the material and books. So she was somebody who I really wanted to go back to, and we could move forward with a lot of new ideas. We think a little similar than some of the other staff there. We're a really good team, and I so enjoy working with her. And I think our product the first time was incredible. We have very little problems or questions with it when it comes to the online students. That class just flows without bumps in the road. So that was
Oh,
one. I have, though, questioned our faculty that I do teach with. They also have the input of, let's bring back the crafts. We've sat down kind of as a group in the past 6 years, and there's 3 of us that have taught for that 6 years consistently. And like one of them I have lunch with every other week, and the other one is my next door neighbor in my office. So lots of conversations between faculty and having help by TRC.
great. Yeah, the ITRC is fantastic. Um, I guess one follow-up question sort of is, are you rewriting this using the press books or how are you doing that?
Well, at the moment, we are just pulling for our presentations for the PowerPoints. And then within, I think, about a week, I'm going to start taking the actual paragraphs and start putting those all together in chapters. So I'll be very busy over spring break.
Oh, very nice.
Yes. It's going to be
Uh,
that push to get that last part complete. But having all the other things in place is going to give us, that ease of running with it. So
sounds like a big project.
it has been. I think I bit off a little more than I thought last year. And it's one of the last things I intend to do for our department before I'm retiring here, I believe next December.
Oh,
Oh no.
Yeah, my body just can't take it anymore. So
Amy, it's so good to see you.
hi, Laura.
How are you?
We're hanging.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
I was excited to join your presentation today. Hello from Meridian.
Oh, wow.
I
I'll go over
know.
there.
Yes, so I'll have to catch up with you. But I got chills when you talked about the materials section of the book and how you were able to adjust it and bring all that content in. That is so exciting because that's so important and something so unique to ISU.
It was just a huge hole or gap, right, in that book. And for years, we were just trying to bring a little bit back in at a time. And it just snapped with us. And we're like, okay, we got to do it. And now's the time, the opportunity arose again. So to have some support and help, and I had to run with it.
That's amazing. What a legacy that you're leaving in this book. So beautiful, beautiful work. When you, a follow-up question. When you finish with this and you're able to get it online, and you mentioned the other professors have some agency in how they present it. What the previous textbook, was it in, I guess, was it on OpenStax or Pressbooks, and how were they able to adjust it? And you said Lori was working with you on this. How are they going to similarly do that moving forward? Because I love that idea of giving the agency to each of the instructors to be able to add their own content in according to their course. Or will it be a Moodle course that they can copy and adjust on their own?
It's going to be like the Moodle course or the Canvas course at this point is what we're building for.
Yeah.
So they take that Canvas course and then they can augment their PowerPoints and add like their interests into the PowerPoints. So when the student comes to class, they just don't get the run-of-the-mill PowerPoint that's listed or, the default kind of one in the Moodle class. So there'll be like those already listed, but if this instructor wants to tailor it, they can take that PowerPoint and put their own stuff in it. So sometimes I would do that with our last stuff, after a while, it's like, I want to bring in some more fun pieces to talk about or something new that a student had said, mentioned, and work that into the old PowerPoint. So I think that's the way we kind of tailor it more than kind of changing the whole course or changing the book. So
What an excellent way to approach this at the department level. I really, really admire this work.
yeah, we've been working hard and we have a really good team that all of us really like to share. If somebody comes up with an idea that is better than what I've put out there, I'm always willing to bring that in or listen to them. We often have adjuncts that will teach and they may bring in a different hands-on activity and we can adopt those things, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody has the same amount of hands-on activities in the class. It just depends on, the instructor. I find that they do really help the students like connect with the material and connect with the thoughts and philosophies about making art and what art is when they put their hands in it.
Well, I hope you stay connected to ISU in some way because I've really been wholly impressed with how rich the art community is in Southeast Idaho and at ISU. It's absolutely incredible, the scope and depth that ISU provides its students. And it would be a shame to lose you completely. So I hope you stay connected.
Thank you. I'll try. Might be coming and taking your class or two every now and then.
Or guest lecture.
We could do that. Yeah, I'm not moving out of Pocatello, so.
I have a question, Amy. Could you share some of the responses you've gotten from your students to this?
One was just yesterday, and it was, a non-traditional kind of 25-year-old student that just having that book as an OER has helped him because he can pick it up at any point. It's with him at all times. One of the things he liked. And not only the cost, which I hear that one all the time, right?
Yeah.
So nice to have a class where we don't have to worry about a book. We don't have to worry that we didn't get the right one, you know? It's there in Moodle. And when we send out our email, like day or two before class starts, that's one of the big things we always try to stress. Send it out and tell them that the book is there, it's provided. You don't have to order one. If you do want a hard copy, they are available and they're reasonable. But, the whole idea is to provide it and to be there and to be a service for them instead of a challenge. So
Hey,
never had a negative response about the OERs in the 6 years I've been teaching with them.
great.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions for Amy? Well, I want to thank you all. I see a comment from Ajit. I think Amy made an important point. The new generation are stuck at the umbilical cord with their gadgets. OER materials provide a possible way to at least engage with the materials in a manner that is natural to them. Fascinating.
Hugely true. Having a quiz in class and having it on a piece of paper and telling them to put their phone away for 15 minutes, I see them struggle and some of them don't make that 15 minutes. So just that connection, like he was saying, is huge for them.
Yeah.
And they know it's right there. So they don't have to go look under their bed or in the closet to try to find the book to get to class on time, right? They just show up even in their pajamas. It's okay. The book is
Okay.
there.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Amy. Thank you for joining us this morning.
You're
And
welcome.
best of luck to you.
Thanks. And thank you guys for always being there to support us.
My pleasure.
Good to see you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Nice to see you.
Bye-bye.